Texas A&M. They went 8-4 overall this year, pretty much on par with what FanDuel set their expectations at 8.5 wins. They were 5-3 in SEC play, but what's crazy is they were, until that last week, very much in the picture to be in the
In the
conference
play.
title game.
Yeah, and then at that point, almost set themselves up to win or lose. You could make it the playoffs just because you made the conference title game. But overall, Texas was a little bit too much for them. They finished 8-4 overall. I think that was still a massive leap from what I think most of us expected. Being 5-3 in SEC play, I think some of that aided to some of the scheduling. I think their schedule kind of rocked for them as far as who they got, and then where they also got to play them. Texas getting them at home at the end of the year, I thought was massive. They weren't able to finish it out, but it was a really good game. But you nailed it, man. 8-4. They went 8-4 overall. That is a perfect prediction. And I believe that is your second. That is your second.
That's two of them that I've got.
I suck. So I went 7-5. I'm not mad at my prediction here, and obviously being one game off, I'm not mad at that. But overall, I think this was a very good year for first year head coach Mike Elko.
Yeah, absolutely. And I felt like there was Texas A&M fans that just had unreal expectations this year. As I'm going to try to,
well, they didn't want to take a step back, right? I mean, that's the 8-4's the bar, I guess, right, for that fan base. So
yeah, I'm going to try to pull up a couple of the comments from our Texas A&M video this year, as there was people like, look, Elko he's the man. I mean, I don't see why you're sitting here saying that they're going to be anything less than 10-3, or sorry, 10-2.
Yep.
Let's see. So this one guy was saying Elko is a football coach, unlike the con man and Jimbo. Texas A&M is going to have a fantastic year. We got to keep sleeping on the Aggies. You are so wrong. Aggies are loaded, and finally, in all capital letters, finally have elite coaching. Watch out. And I completely agree with that. They finally have some really good coaching, but year one expectations should be somewhere around that 8-4 mark. It shouldn't be, oh, we're national championship contenders in year one.
Which they weren't far from that. Let's be honest here. But at the end of the day, I mean, like you mentioned, I mean, with every first-year head coach comes a whole new system. You can't, you just can't expect, even if you did have the absolute rock star caliber players, can't expect year one to just already have that standard, right? You can already you can implement it and set that foundation, but the chance of that being, coming in year one natty, like I just didn't see that. 7-5, I thought was safe bet. And like I said, I'm not mad at that. I think I had them. Let's see. I want to go back through because I actually know exactly what my picks were for A&M during this time. It was, I had them losing the opener to Notre Dame. Now, and I do believe that did happen, right? Or did they beat Notre Dame? No. They lost.
Yeah,
so I had them losing the opening game.
Yeah,
and that was a great game. And that was a great game. That was they actually showed and proved they could hang with some of the best. But then I had them winning the next 4 games against McNeese, Florida, Bowling Green, and Arkansas. I believe they did take care of business against those 4 teams.
Yep.
And then I had them losing to Missouri.
Yep, both of us had that. They ended up beating Missouri.
They did, and that was good.
Dominated them, 41-10.
Just crushed them, and I believe that was at Missouri. Like they just absolutely took them.
No, this one wasn't home.
No, you're right, 100%. Who did they play? That I felt like they got. Maybe it was at A&M. But then they played at Mississippi State. I believe they got that win. I had that down. And then I had them losing to LSU, which I believe they did beat LSU.
They did beat LSU. I'm looking. Both of us had a loss to LSU, but they did beat them 38-23. That one was at home.
But I think they lost to South Carolina.
And
right?
This was the one they got dog walked in. This was at South Carolina, and South Carolina beat them 44-20.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of. But they lost to South Carolina. South Carolina proved obviously to be a really good team. I did have them beating South Carolina. But then New Mexico State, obviously that's a win. And then I had them losing the final 2 against Auburn, Texas.
You nailed that. You nailed the loss to Auburn and then the loss to Texas. I had them beating Auburn, I believe, but then losing to Texas. Yes, that's what I had. So you nailed those last 2 games. it was that South Carolina game in there that really messed the two of
Yep.
us up. Um,
But overall, it doesn't matter. You still got the overall record correct. So congratulations to you. You now have a 1-game lead, my boy. And
but
I'm not mad at that prediction though. I mean, 7-5,
oh
8-4,
no,
and they went eight
absolutely
and
not.
four. So we both went for the under here, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And one thing that does scare me for A&M going forward, I think they found their guy in Marcel Reed. He
Oh, he's
was
a
just
baller.
he was young this year. You could see that
Well,
in a
and he's
couple of the
lucky that they
games.
had them because their season could have been a little bit worse without him. Honestly, in my opinion.
Oh, when Wegman went down with that injury, yeah, it absolutely could have been a lot worse if he hadn't have stepped up and filled the role that he did. But he had a couple of really good games. The New Mexico State game, 268 yards passing, and then the Auburn game, 297, and that one was a 4 overtime game that they dropped. So I mean, had some really good games. I think they're going to keep rolling under Mike Elko. He's a very good coach. I was nervous whenever they hired him, but I think it was a fantastic hire. We're going to see Texas A&M start to reap the benefits going forward.